Changes to end strength would result in a smaller Army, but would help ensure the Army remain well-trained and clearly superior in arms and equipment. They should be assured that we will retain the capability to defend our country and our interests around the world. A more deliberate and far more responsible approach that protects readiness and modernization while maintaining a force large enough to fulfill our defense strategy, though with some risk for some missions.
That's the sales pitch from Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel today over a bold proposal that would shrink the U.S. Army to its smallest size since before World War II. The decision based on both military need, given the end of the Cold War, and the unlikelihood of two large-scale wars happening at the same time, and on cost. With so many calls for spending cuts in D.C., still, the plans would expand the use of drones and other, quote, smaller ways to conduct wars, but there are already lots of objections in Congress, and siding with the administration on military cuts could put vulnerable Democrats in a tough spot in this, of course, a midterm election year. Listen, there's two parts to this, the politics, which I think we'll get into, but, maybe I break rank with a lot of friends here on the Democratic side, but we're not talking about marginal cuts. We're talking about significant cuts. And we're talking about moving our forces more to the Pacific Rim in our interest than still having any of a base hold as much that we do in Europe right now. All you got to do is look at the world. You look at the Ukraine right now. You look at what's going on even in the Middle East and what could happen near Israel in the not too distant future, obviously with Iran and et cetera. Listen, we can't be the world's policeman, fight every fight that's out there, but we should at least project the strength to do so. I'm not sure this doesn't cut into that argument. You disagree?
Well, I do, and I think you said the reason why. We shouldn't be the world's policeman, yet we're spending, 80% of the world's economy on defense? We spend 80% of the entire money spent in the entire world on defense and military spending. If we're not going to be the world's policeman, then why are we acting like we're the world's policeman? And why do we continue to put ourselves at expense and fighting wars that we're not fighting anymore, like the Soviet Union?
Bad case makes bad law. I'm not going to certainly defend Iraq right now. We can go into all of these different things. However, there will be a time in the not too distant future where you're going to argue with human atrocities playing out in HD TV
we need coalitions.
Where are we?
We need coalitions for that. And if we have a problem in Ukraine, we need NATO to get on board. We need our friends to work together.
That's superbly. Let's call the UN.
Is what we're doing right
the
now
UN will do a really great job
for the dollars that we're spending?
Look, Reagan got slammed because he had to spend trillions of dollars to replace a military that Carter let go in a scrap heap somewhere. I mean, look, the fact is, you want to be the superpower. You want to run the world. I mean, look, I'm proud to be an American. This is my country. We don't take guff from anybody. I'm not going to be some third world country. I understand downsizing a little bit, but these are drastic cuts.
That's not what really guides our military spending. It's really a jobs program for military contractors. And the reason why you don't get cuts in programs that even the Defense Department doesn't want is because it's done in 300 different congressional districts, and you can't get the
well, but recognize this is that what the impact you're going to have on the economy, because those are jobs right here in America.
Are you signing up for stimulus right now? Or are you saying that defense spending as stimulus? Well, why can't we do regular stimulus?
Well, those are American jobs right here. I'm not saying that you don't do away with it, but you don't do it overnight. You do it over the course of a 10-year period. This is a very drastic cut, these programs that he's putting in place right now.
Everyone supports a strong defense for the country that we all live in and love. But why is it when it comes to cuts to social program, my Republican friends say cut even more, cut the fat, cut to the bone. But when it comes to defense, oh no, we can't touch that. So I don't understand, and I'm only looking your way.
What are you talking about?
What I'm referring about?
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is the
one is the
argument
national security.
make.
Well, the argument is very simple. Is you got 1 in 6 people, and the people on food stamps under this president continues to grow every single day because he can't create a job for anybody. And I'm talking about the defense of our country. So when 9/11 happens, we can defend ourselves. There's a big difference here.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Here's my question to you, though. How do you think the public feels about cutting defense? I'm not so sure.
cut.
You know, I don't know how the public feels about it.
'Cause they
I
look
think
at it
they
as
get
waste,
I think
mismanagement,
most
boondoggle,
people,
you know, I can
most
use all the
people feel that
adjectives.
we were going to downsize, and so I don't think that's unexpected. I think it's the dramatic nature of these cuts that are proposed that make people nervous. But here's my feeling: is that in reality, the cuts that make sense are not going to happen in a midterm year. That's a given. So the cuts that are going to happen are not cuts that are going to impact congressional districts that are of note and things like that. So I think we're going to have a very, imbalanced cuts in the end, and I don't think that serves anybody well. And to me, that's a huge, huge issue. And we should just say, back to the Ukraine for a second, you've got crazy Vladimir Putin out there. We cut this dramatically. What do we do about somebody like Vladimir Putin
Ask
in 4
Dominic.
years?
He'll
And
give
the
you an answer.
messaging.
We'll send him food stamps.
This really
send him food stamps.
This really puts Democrats on the defensive because now Democrats in a lot of these districts are going to have to decide: do I back my president and my defense secretary, or do I oppose that in a midterm
You know the
election?
good news,
Really
Andrew,
tough
though,
spot.
is in the states where they're already running away from him, North Carolina, Hagan, Landreau, and Louisiana, where they don't want him anywhere near because of Obamacare, it's very easy. Mr. President, we're not cutting the defense budget. Stay away anyway. It works out very well for
Yeah,
us.
you look
It
at
does
when
work
these
out.
cuts
It does.
happen, and
It
it's
works
not
out
going to
well.
be in a place or a way that makes any kind of sense. It's going to be all political, as we know. And so
I do
in
think
the
this
end-
comes to an underlining thing, which is so much of the public is so exhausted after so long, since 9/11, of intervention around the globe. And I'll disagree with some of my Democratic friends that we did have a role in Afghanistan, and we do have a place in the world. That said, it's going to get defined here. And you guys are right. Whether we like it or not, if they scale this thing back, we are sending a message beyond our borders about what we perceive our role to be going forward. And I think it'll be misread. I'm not sure what the right answer is. But, okay, we're going to lighten things up when we come back here. Alec Baldwin, he says he wants out of the public spotlight. And before you just call him a clown, if you read his piece, there were some interesting points in it. So the question is, where is that line for celebrities and their private lives? Do they want to have it both ways here, or does Baldwin actually have a point?